The early missionaries that came to Africa, they didn't just come preaching. They came with the gospel. They also came with tools to transform the African society. So they opened schools, hospitals, clinics, printing press. They came with social reforms, talking against human rituals, killing of twins. We know the story of Mary Slessor and all of that. They came with tools that could bring about transformation in society. Now, people, especially on the media, they are trying to make the early missionaries that came to Africa look bad, as though they came with the gospel, and then while they were preaching to us, they were stealing from us. And there's all kind of narratives about that on the media space today. In fact, there are songs that have been made about that while they were preaching the gospel to us, they were busy stealing from us. But that is not totally true. Sometimes it is important for us to read history, so that we are not just carried away by some of the narratives that are being propagated. And this is very relevant because there are people who are not yet in the faith, who are Africans like you and I, and when they hear those things, the first thing that is going to happen is that their heart is going to be hardened against the gospel. So they talk about the door of no return. The door of no return is like a post between where the people have liberty. In those days, they use ships to carry the slaves out of Africa, right? So the door of no return, and this they have in countries like Ghana, in Benin Republic, and some other African countries. Some are like castles, some are just a small doorway that once people pass through that door, the slaves now, there's no return again. So they come out from the door, they meet the sea, there's ship waiting to carry them out of Africa. So once they cross, no return again. In fact, some years back in Nigeria, they did something, I think in Badagry, and they called it the door of return, trying to say that slavery has ended and all of that. Some people say that while they have those doors of no return, that while they were moving our people as slaves, passing through the door of no return, taking them into the ships and shipping them out of Africa, they were doing church above them. So in the building, they will be doing church service up while they are carrying our people as slaves. And it now looks like the missionaries that came to Africa were slave traders. But when you read, you understand that it was not only missionaries that were in Africa. They were colonial masters. Yes, they were established colonial systems. The people that were doing slave trade were some of the colonial masters, the companies that made those ships, and some other people like that, and African rulers. They were the ones partnering together to ship people out of Africa. And of course, some of the missionaries were compromised. All right, some of them were a part of that system, but many of them were not. Some of them also stood against slave trade, spoke loudly against it, resisted it. People like David Livingstone, John somebody, even Samuel Ajay Crowther. That one was a Nigerian. They are taking him out for slave trade, and they rescued him at some point, took him to Sierra Leone, and he became a preacher. He spoke loudly against slave trade. These people came to Africa. They established institutions. I think from record, one of the first secondary school in Nigeria was established by missionaries. CMS Grammar School in Lagos, established in 1859, was established by missionaries. Methodist Boys High School, St. Gregory's High School, all of these schools, they are in Lagos. No wonder Lagos is as developed as it is. Hospitals, Enu Hospital in Onitsha, Wesley Guide Hospital, St. Luke's Hospital, all of these hospitals were built by missionaries. Mary Slessor, she was the one that ended the killing of twins. The sad part is that we will have twins now that are saying white people came to steal from us. They don't know that if not for somebody like Mary Slessor, they won't be alive. All kinds of abominable things that they were doing in Africa. So a king will die. When they want to bury the king, they will bury him with about 7 scores of other human beings. All of those human rituals and practices were ended by the social reforms that these missionaries brought. We can't say that the gospel that they brought didn't do us good. No, that would be very false. That there were some bad eggs among them didn't mean that was what they stood for. And that doesn't mean that was what they did. That all of them came and they were stealing from us. They brought good. They brought good. Any society that accepts the gospel, transformation will naturally come. And that is where the people understand that the gospel goes beyond just preaching to influencing society. So they established things like care for widows, orphans, less privileged people, and all of these things. There's a man, Father Angus Fraser, the principal that started Mount St. Gabriel Secondary School in Makurdi. Mount St. Gabriel Secondary School, during his time as principal, happened to be one of the most well-known and respected secondary schools in northern Nigeria. I did my JS1 there. A white man, he was ordained as a priest in 1959, came to Nigeria in 1961 and gave his life to missionary work and education. Very excellent school and affordable for all. No, we can't say that they all came to steal from us. Hallelujah. Some of our forefront leaders as a continent were product of missionary schools. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, all of these people, they became knowledgeable from the schools that missionaries built. It was not missionaries that were responsible for the people that they took into slave trade. Some of them, of course, were compromised, but majority of them, they came to do the work of ministry. So to blame the missionaries that came for some of the things that happened in Africa would be an injustice to history.